Ahead of a critical hearing in the Supreme Court when it comes to the rape and murder of a young doctor, protests are taking place not just in the city of Kolkata, not just across West Bengal, but across the globe. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. Our relentless focus on this issue continues. And as I mentioned on this broadcast this evening, we'll be talking to doctors from literally across the world. Doctors from California, the United Kingdom, and Australia will be joining us as the medical community refuses to let up pressure supported by enlightened citizens. The fact is, and the real worry though is, will the truth ever be known? Will justice ever be served? These questions are being asked and are being asked with increasing concern and anxiety. This, as a Calcutta judge lost her temper when the CBI lawyer was 40 minutes late, saying ironically and sardonically, should I grant the rape accused bail? Meanwhile, contradictory accounts are emerging from the testimony of the polygraph test conducted by the CBI on the rape accused Sanjoy Roy. Some accounts suggest that he's denied committing the crime and said by the time he entered the seminar hall, the doctor was already dead and he fled after seeing the body. There are many such contradictory reports now emerging in the media amidst growing concerns about humongous evidence tampering, the role of the Kolkata police, and also what exactly are the dots that connect the disgraced ousted former principal of the Arjikot Medical College, Sandeep Ghosh, the rape accused Sanjoy Roy, and all the others who were present in the college's seminar hall, the scene of the crime, when they should not have been. Let me introduce our panel today on the program. As I said, we have people not just from Kolkata, but from across the world. I first want to welcome back to the program Dr. Kunal Sarkar. He's one of the country's best-known cardiac surgeons. There is a 60-minute conversation with Dr. Sarkar on our platform that I highly recommend. If you haven't seen it yet, please do see it. We're grateful that he's given us a little more time today. Welcome back, Dr. Sarkar. Also joining us today is Dr. Dipti Jain. She is the global coordinator of these global protests. They're going to take place this weekend. She is an alum of the Calcutta National Medical College. That is the college where the West Bengal government tried to transfer Sandeep Ghosh after this rape and murder took place, and angry students at the National Medical College ensured that he was literally sent packing. Also joining me today is Tilottama Guha. She's another key organizer of these protests. She joins us from Australia. Ms. Guha, welcome to the program. And joining us today is an Arjikot alum, Dr. Amrita Chatterjee. She's joining us from San Diego today. She's an alumni of the 1993 batch. Welcome to the program, all of you. Dr. Sarkar, I'm going to request you, as we have these voices from across the globe, to first bring us up to speed on the latest. You know, when we were talking last time, you were very concerned about what you called humongous evidence tampering. Now we have an angry local court. We have the Supreme Court scheduled to pick this up on Monday, but we're no closer, I think, to feeling that we're going to get to the bottom of this. Bring us up to speed, Dr. Sarkar.
You see, what we have we haven't learned a great wealth of information over the last few hours where we have spoken. If you are really interested in the minutiae of what's happening, there seems to be a kind of desperate regaining of consciousness by some parts of the medical council, etc. So every minute you get to hear that someone or the other who was in some way linked in this sort of dragon's nest. So the wickets are falling one after the other in a very late reawakening of conscience. So people who had very doubtful antecedents, who were seen in all kind of places they should not have been. So about 6-7 people have got, I think, suspended by the medical council, etc., etc. I honestly do not think that the city in general or the medical community in particular is taking a great sincere note of all that drama which is happening. What is central? What is absolutely central? You know, why our friends from across the globe and why the city and the state is absolutely desperate to hear a voice of intent from the Supreme Court and from the CBI is not because we want some sort of conclusion to a whodunit, but we want accountability. We want some answers that how can this incident happen in one of the largest medical institutions, and how is it that we can flout every known protocol of investigation, post-mortem, cremation so effortlessly. So we have been flabbergasted, we have been exasperated. All that is in the past. Now the highest court of the country has to take cognizance. It is, please make no mistake, we are not reading an Agatha Christie novel to get some, who done it concluded in the end. The CBI will do their best. Given the level of evidence they have, they will come to some conclusion. But in the dastardly lapses that has happened one after the other, I think society is asking for accountability, because nobody should ever have the deviousness to do this again.
Dr. Sarkar, before I open it up for our doctor friends who are joining us from across the globe, are you hopeful or are you without hope? Given the evidence tampering that everybody believes has taken place, and I
Barkha,
know
I
you've
don't
documented at great length.
Barkha, I don't think you are going to get a kind of a, some very unexpected criminal closure on the case, right? The criminal closure on the case, maybe it'll be obvious that this fellow who was this kind of a para security person roaming around, there is a possibility that he will get incriminated for it. If you really believe in what the young doctors, the students, etc. believe, they do believe that there were more than one people involved in this incident that night. And I honestly think that, not really metaphorically, but literally, most of the evidence left behind has been washed away, has literally been washed away. So I think CBI will perhaps have a couple of answers and maybe many more questions.
And that brings us to, let me open this up, Dr. Deepti, the idea behind this global protest. At least two of you have studied in government public medical colleges in the city of Kolkata, and I'm sure it's heartbreaking for both you and Amrita. Tell us what's making you, sitting in the United Kingdom, organize this protest, given the deep cynicism in some ways that you just heard in what Dr. Sarkar is saying.
Hello, Barkha. I just wanted to say hello to everybody first for giving this opportunity to us. Um, you're quite right. What made us do it? Well, 35 years ago, we have walked those similar corridors round with safety. We had, with no fear, we never even thought about such a heinous crime can ever occur in a second home, which we call it as a second home. Our parents used to think that we are in a safe place. There were no mobile phones in those times. So, that kind of brings you the whole thing in context, doesn't it? That how can such a crime ever can occur in a second home? Is nobody safe at home as well? That was the main thing which really numbed us, and the brutality and was just mind blowing. I just cannot even think that anybody could ever hurt anybody in such a way that it is disgracing the humanity at most levels. So it's not just about being a woman, it's not just about being a doctor, it's also about being a human being, isn't it? That such a
Yeah.
brutality can be exhibited to that level. um, this numbness which we felt actually, because I am the lead for the pan doctor women doctors group over here, which we had organized, kind of do fun stuff like sari walkathons and this kind of thing. So we had done loads of events in the past which has actually highlighted our national heritage, and it's always been proud to carry the national flag everywhere in the world, globally, wherever I've organized. This is the first time I've actually been pushed into a protest against. I don't know who to protest against, but it is just to bring a change. To be
Who,
honest,
who are you feeling angry with? Before I go to Amrita, who actually studied at RG Core, who are you feeling angriest with today? There's so many people to feel angry with. Who are you feeling angriest with today?
I think it is to do with the institution of, demoralizing it little by little by little. What institutions I have studied, we used to keep
Yeah.
it in such high regard. The whole thing, the breakdown in the morale of the society. I think it's a responsibility of each and every person to actually question and sit back and reflect that where are we going wrong.
Yeah. Let me bring in Dr. Amrita. Dr. Amrita, you're, DP says we walked those corridors 35 years ago. You actually walked the corridors of RG Core. And among the questions that Dr. Sarkar has raised in his interview with me is how did this one civic volunteer, Sanjoy Roy, know precisely where this doctor was, at what time, in the seminar hall? Could this really have been the job of one person? And those questions persist. But for you as an alum, ma'am, what's overwhelmingly in your mind and heart today as you join these global protests?
Thank you, Barkha, for bringing me in as a panel. As Dipti said, I joined RG Kaur in 1988, and we had about 30 girls, women doctors in our batch. As Dipti said, it is a shock, and I was so numb to hear that this could happen in my college, in my medical school, where we walked freely among the corridors. In the emergency building where the incident happened, we used to walk throughout, one building to the other building without any fear of any rape and any damage to us. We actually used to reach the hospital without the mobile phones being there, and we used to call our home from the calling booth there that we are safe. So that was the safety we told our family that we've reached here.
Yeah.
So when I heard this news, I was shocked to the point from my WhatsApp group of my medical batch that this has happened. It just took me some time to believe that it happened for the trained postgraduate trainee doctor on call. That is beyond. It could have happened. I don't know why it didn't happen while she was going back home. So, whatever made it happen, whatever is behind this, I still believe it's not one person's role in doing this. I still believe Dr. Kunal Sarkar has said with the postmortem report, I've seen a copy, it cannot be one person's. That's the likelihood I can say also from my experience. So, that
Yeah.
us to the point. Sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me just bring in Dr. Sarkar briefly before I come to Tilottama. Dr. Sarkar, the point is also that both the doctors here are women and they're doctors. And the reason I mentioned their gender, which I may not have otherwise, cared to reinforce, is because the response of the West Bengal government to say that, oh, avoid women on night shifts, give them different hours. This is absolutely regressive. This is punishing the women as opposed to actually trying to catch the scale of whoever the perpetrators were. And I just want you to talk about that, and also this deeply held belief in the medical community that this cannot be one isolated Sanjoy Roy, and we may never get to know otherwise.
Barkha, first of all, that bizarre communique from the health department, I think you
Yes.
can you can at the very best view it as a mistimed black humor or something. It just shows the level of poor intellect which is there amongst the group, which is, uh, I think, advising the chief minister is a very congratulatory term right now. You should rather
Yeah.
say misadvising the chief minister. I think
Yeah.
somebody with a fancy graphic cobbled up some very poorly thought through 10 points. We were very regressive, backward looking. I am a little bit senior to most of my friends on the panel today. Even in my time, out of 100 students in my batch, I had 42. We had 42 girls. We had one of the highest numbers, and never ever did we ever think of, once again, it is a disastrous statement to make, but look at the truth of it. If this, where will, if we do not take cognizance today, where will the next crime be committed? Inside an auditorium in front of a live audience? Is that what we are heading for? That is the only thing left for the narcissistic mafia left to do. They have slaughtered a girl in the seminar room when there were literally, at that point of time, there were a few hundred people present within a sniffing distance of that place. We did that. Then soon after, we left no stones unturned to turn the scene of crime into an absolute festival of chaos. Win no time, and whatever evidence was there was demolished by the PWD the next morning. What on
Yeah.
earth is happening? If this criminal belligerence persists amongst us in a medical institution, you shudder to think what is happening in rest of the society. This is sheer criminal belligerence. People think, what next? What next are we looking at? Where will the daughters, the wives, our sisters, people at home? How will they get out to work and to their daily activities ever again if this is the level of belligerence in society? And then the police comes in and says that, look, shrugs their shoulders and say we are helpless. And
Yeah.
if the youngsters on ground did not wake up, did not protest, they tried to stop the car taking the body, they could not. But they at least raised the alarm. If not, if they were a little bit somnolent, by 9th of August, you would have had headlines saying this was a suicide.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point that we owe it to young doctors, young people who have joined the young doctors in Kolkata, kept the pressure up because indeed the RG Court administration told the victims' parents in their third call that it was a suicide. In the first two calls, they didn't reveal what happened at all. Tilottama, what makes somebody like you, not from the medical community, I'm guessing, join and organize and help mobilize these global protests?
Thank you, Barkha, for calling me into the panel. So, of course, I'm not from a medical background. It's just that I lived half of my life in Kolkata. I'm born there. So, being a Calcutta girl, I was always very, very proud of, staying in a place which is safe. I lived there, I worked there, and somewhere or the other, we had that sense of safety wherever we were traveling. And workplace is a place where you assume that, it's your second home, where you won't be harmed. So now, after this incident, like, where do we go? I have my friends, my relatives, my sisters working in Calcutta. Are they supposed to like study and just stay at home, not go to work? If workplace safety is not ensured, a place where people can go with confidence that, okay, nothing will happen to me here. If an incident like that happens, like the doctor who lost her life, she was not on the road or in a party, in a club, or anywhere where, like, in our country we always see there's a lot of victim blaming going on. Now what,
Mhm.
who's going to give that answer? Like,
Yeah.
she was working, she was at her workplace, and she lost her life. It cannot be more sad.
I agree with you. And Dr. Dipti, just to take comments from you and Amrita and Tilottama before I give Dr. Sarkar the closing word. When you look at the female labor force participation in India, when you look at how many women, in simple terms, are working in the organized labor force, we actually don't do that well. It was 37% this year, but the major bulk was from rural India, where women have to work to make ends meet. In urban areas, 25% of Indian women join the workforce, right? And women have to fight so many other barriers to get to where they are, so many other barriers. Now, if they can't even be assured of safety at their place of work, what are we saying to women? Deepti?
I think so. It's getting regressive society, isn't it? At the best, um, even it feels so sad to say that I've been visiting India, but we just go and visit our family, friends, or maybe just go out in a safe environment. So I have not actually witnessed the real deterioration in the moral background, or not known that how the institutions have really become a mafia place. So we have not been exposed. This has really opened our eyes, and in such a way that we had kind of opened the discussions all over the world, and getting the reflections from every woman we know, and we try to put all thoughts together. And why could this happen to just a girl in such a way? Those are the questions we have to ask. It could be in Kolkata, it could be in any other streets, it could be in Australia, it could be in London. And I think so it is the safety issue which is becoming more and more. The main thing, the two things, Barkha, which I think needs to change, and we feel very strongly about it, is the governance. Yes, the governance has to change. The officials, the institutions have to be answerable. They have to be transparent in how they deal. And when we say this, we draw parallels from the society we are living in UK or in
Sure.
Australia, and we see that how governance, I don't know whether you knew there were lots of riots going on, and that's why I was quite hesitant to organize the protest over here, because we were just in the middle of the riots at that time. But the
Mhm.
government brought down the governance so quickly by opening up the judicial system and by opening up the fast up courts, which really acted and put the fear in them that things will go the right way. So
I think that's an important point about institutional governance, and Dr. Sarkar's been making that point as well. That the only opportunity here is to convert the rage into change. Because if the rage doesn't convert into change, then 4 years from now, Tilottama, we'll be having the same debate. I mean, this is 2012 was what was the Nirbhaya gang rape that was in Delhi. Uh, just
Barkha,
quickly,
what has
Tilottama, yeah,
changed? What
yeah,
has
tell me.
changed in the last 12 years? Like, we were on the street with a candle for Nirbhaya. Today, we are doing the same for Tilottama. The victim is known as Tilottama. It's all the more personal to me because that's my name. So,
Yeah,
what has changed in the last 12 years? Like,
yeah,
how many candle vigils do we organize for victims losing their life? So, I
yeah,
feel the change is not institutional, whatever. It is a very grassroots level change that we have to make. It's the thought, it's the uh, what to say, like maybe the culture, the patriarchy where people succumb to. Like, not even only men, like women succumb to patriarchy, that sense of respect, maybe understanding the values of consent.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel I'm not from the medical background. I don't have, and I mean, seriously, I don't have any idea about what goes on in a medical college. But just from being a citizen of India, living abroad, I see like things are a lot organized in these places. So just to organize a protest, I literally didn't have to, I had to take permission because it's good to have. Otherwise, the government says to speak out your mind, you don't need a permission. You can just take
Right.
the street.
I'm particularly struck by what you said. How many candles are we going to light? And we have a young man here, Dhruv Kataria, saying politicians, the legal system, and the enforcement agencies have failed the women of our country. Also, Malini Thapa raising what happens to whistleblowers. Even in this case, Dr. Amrita, we've had a former official called Akhtar Ali. He says that he ran from pillar to post, court to court for years. We've interviewed students who say that since 2022, Sandeep Ghosh, the former principal of RG Corps, were harassing them to the point that two of them considered taking their own lives. And nobody listened. It took the national anger of this case for people to get up and take notice. Last thoughts, Amrita, before I give Dr. Sarkar the closing word.
Yes, and what I said was it's definitely the governance, I would say, the institution. There has to be a deep ground background check of the principal, or we are hiring the whole team. And how could a civic volunteer with that criminal background, with his sexual abuses, could be appointed? It's beyond my imagination. And I told my daughter it can happen anywhere. The safety issue with women, women have to have more self-defenses classes. They have to take safety under guard, and they have to take care of that. Is my point. And when boys are raised from childhood, I would
yeah.
say we have to be given the right moral values from childhood to respect women and what sex education is. That's very important. from
I think
early on
the
in the
change,
age.
yeah, the change has to come from the society as well, Barkha. However much we deny it, it is the mindset which has to
Mindset.
change.
Yeah, I agree with what all three of you have said. But Dr. Sarkar, as I give you the last word, all of our feminism, our hope, our trying to raise boys differently, our acknowledging and trying to smash the patriarchy cannot necessarily bring down a kind of syndicate of criminal convergences, a nexus deep between political power, financial corrosion, influence, and sexual abuse. And in this particular case, all of it seems to be creating an enabling environment for the murder and rape of this young doctor. Last thoughts to you, Dr. Sarkar.
Well, absolutely, we haven't really done ourselves any graces or favors by bringing upon this catastrophe onto ourselves. Doctors are complicit in the crime. The first thing that the doctors will have to realize that our generations have been too subservient, too opportunistic, and it is right under our watch that these kind of deviant practices were made to fester and prosper as parallel mafia administration in our system. So we just
Yeah,
cannot absolve ourselves of our involvement, number one. The second point over here is, like in this, all of you today very relevantly discuss the role of women. Let me again tell you that at the intake level in medicine in India, out of about 1,20,000 graduates who are taken in every year, remember 57 to 58% are women. So women are in majority at the intake level, you
yeah,
know. So these
yeah,
disasters notwithstanding, even if you discount this kind of happening, if you just go back and see what is happening at year 6 or year 7, once they have graduated, got their degrees, you do not see 25% of them in active medical life
yeah,
because the society does not support them. So,
yeah,
as it is, we had some chronic issues in hand, and instances, examples like this are only making the problem worse. And last of all, it is not all despair. You know why? Because when we look around and try to see that little light at the end of the tunnel, something that I have never seen in my sort of 40 plus years of medicine in this part of the world, this present group of youngsters, junior doctors, postgraduate trainees, in a matter of 72 hours, they brought the entire medical community and the city together.
yeah,
We have never done it. We have never been able to do it. And today, when you see that the fact that you have responded from every corner of the globe, it is
yeah,
no credit to my generation at all. The credit goes to the batch of youngsters that they
yeah,
rose up, they forgot which party they were in, what their political loyalties were. So I think it is not all gloom and doom. We can do all our little bit to strengthen their efforts, to strengthen their hands. So I tell you that behind the background of all this, I think all of us know from our experience that our society, our professional fraternity has never had an experience of this. The disaster is there, but look at the aftermath. The youngsters, each and every one of them, has brought a society, has brought a city and a state together.
absolutely. Well said. In the end, we, the people, still have not just a conscience, but also a heart and also a spine. And that is what the young doctors metaphorically presented to the Kolkata Police Commissioner when they actually met with him. The global protests are going to be this weekend. You can see three voices from three different countries on this program. There'll be many more joining them and raising their voice. And as Dr. Sarkar said, young people have made this moment possible. So there is something to hold on to there. Dr. Dipti, Dr. Amrita, Tilottama, and Dr. Sarkar, thank you. And thank you to our audience. See you very soon. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.